All right, gang, this is Rob from Master IT. Today we're going to be talking about the A plus Core 1. So today we're going to go through a couple practice questions. I'm here with my pal from IT, and at the end we're going to give out a discount code. So make sure that you stay and you stick around until the end of the test prep to get that discount code. So please listen up. Antoinette, introduce yourself to the family.
What's up? So I'm Antoinette. I'm from IT Training. I'm super happy to be joining this today, and we are going to go over some awesome information. The most important thing that you can do, though, is make sure that you stay all the way until the end. So first and foremost, you see we are on YouTube today. I've got a YouTube channel as well where we are doing a lot of different exam previews, exam reviews, and of course, tips and tricks on how to make sure that you monetize your earnings, because I'm all about getting certified and getting paid. We've got Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, so make sure you connect to us there as well. You see my IG as well as Rob's IG on there. But if you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out and get connected to us in whatever place works well for you.
Yep. So just like Antoinette said, you can follow us on all social media. We're on LinkedIn as well, and we're just here to help. The A plus is a two-part exam, right? So you got the 1001 and the 1002. What I'm finding out a lot of times is that students are studying the wrong material, right? So some students are asked like, hey man, if I'm studying 901 and 902, which was the previous version of this exam, would it be good to use that to study for the current exam? I would have to say no. So the current exam has a lot more stuff in it than the previous exam did, right? So first things first, it may seem like common sense, may seem like, why are you telling me this? But believe it or not, make sure first thing that you are studying the current version of the exam, and understand that A plus is a two-part exam, right? So you got to pass 1001 and 1002 to pass the exam. But with 1001, you got to get 675 out of 900. Every CompTIA exam except CAS Plus. And if I'm wrong, Antoinette, you can let me know. But as far as I know, only CAS Plus is the exam that has pass or fail. For this, it's out of a range of 900, right? So if you get 675, you're good to go. On the actual exam, you have multiple choice and performance-based questions. The performance-based questions are also known as simulations. So it just won't be a question and an answer. It'll usually be something which you have to apply your knowledge. So the performance-based question is kind of like CompTIA's way of doing hands-on without you actually putting your hands on anything, right? Another thing is you'll get a maximum of 90 questions. That does not mean that you'll get 90 questions, but you'll get a maximum of 90 questions. And however questions you get, you'll have 90 minutes to complete, okay?
I love the 675 out of 900. Let me tell you, that is what I consider a perfect score. Now we're all shooting for perfection. I know everybody wants to get 899 or 900, but let me tell you, once you get 675 or you get 899, it's the same pass. So don't stress on that. I definitely, my first time students will go in, they'll get 725, 800. Oh, I wish I would have done better. I think I could have done it. You are halfway certified to your A plus. Of course, A plus is the only of the CompTIA tests where you do have to take two. So any other test that you go in there, you get that minimum score, and certified is certified. I have actually made what my perfect score on one of the tests, and that was a Server Plus back in the day. I took it, I failed, I took it, I failed, and then I took it the third time. I got the exact perfect score, and let me tell you, I was just happy with that. So don't aim for perfection. Honestly, if you got 900 out of 900, myself and CompTIA would probably think that you were cheating anyway. So good to go. All right, let's move on to what is on the actual test. What's the breakdown of the exam? So there's a lot of different objectives or focus areas on this test that you're going to need to make sure that you know about. A plus honestly is more about a variety of focus areas. It's an introduction to different types of technology. So you're going to see a lot of different stuff, but the surface of it, not really in depth. So on the core 1 or the 1001, you're going to see mobile devices, networking, hardware, cloud, and then a lot of troubleshooting of those 4 sections. So taking a look at this, we've got a breakdown here, about 15% on mobile devices. And don't forget, it's not just phones. We're talking about tablets, phablets, big phones. We're talking about laptops because those are mobile devices themselves. We've got to get these things online and talking to other devices. So you're going to get into the networking. The actual hardware is really where you're going to see a lot of focus on the A+ for the first exam. The second one is going to have a different objective list. So we're hardware focused here. Cloud computing is the future. You know it, I know it. So this is that introduction here. And then we want to make sure that we can actually troubleshoot these different areas. It's really important to be able to make sure that not only are you familiar with the verbiage, but how to maintain these things, how to implement them, how to configure them once they're on a network and get them going.
Thank you. All right, gang, and another thing, just like Antoinette was saying, a lot of times people want to break down A+ into hardware and software, and you can see from just this breakdown right here, it's a lot more than just hardware. 1001 is a lot more than hardware, and this is another reason that me and Antoinette always push, our guys and our girls to take this first, because it gives you a well-rounded foundation and just gives you a bunch of different avenues to learn from. And taking the A+ is pretty much just like getting your high school diploma, and it kind of gears or steers you towards which direction you want to go in. Do I want to do cloud computing? Do I want to do security? Do I want to do networking? So you kind of get a really good foundation with that. Now, like Antoinette was saying, I want to say the next slide is our first question. Yes, it is. So what we're going to do, gang, is I'm going to read the question. I'll give you a couple minutes to deliberate and figure out what you think the answer is, and then we're going to give you the answer and explain why that is the answer. Okay? All right, so Jane types imit.com into her web browser and receives an error message. She tries other websites and receives the same error. Her internet connection seems to be down. She goes to her IP settings and IP address starts with 169. What most likely is the problem? So just look at the answers, look at the question, and give you guys a couple of seconds to see what you think the answer is. So again, just a quick little tip while you're thinking about that. On the exam, you need to pay attention to that type of stuff. Most likely, what's the first thing you should do? What's the next thing you should do? What's the most expensive? What's the least expensive? Just make sure that those types of things don't trip you up. So let's see what the answer is, and let's see if you got it right. So the DHCP server has ran out of processing power. Is that true or false? Is that true or false? So that's false, right? So just wanted to throw something in there to throw you guys off. The answer is C. All right, the DHCP server has not issued her device an IP address. Okay, so if you don't have contact with the DHCP server, you will not get assigned an IP address, right? So when you're not assigned an IP address, you automatically get assigned a 169 IP address, right? So hopefully that didn't trip you up. You won't have any more trick questions throughout this test prep. But just so you understand that green star isn't there, C is the answer. The DHCP server has not issued her an IP address. The DHCP server is responsible for giving out IP addresses. If you can't contact the DHCP server, if the DHCP server is offline, you're automatically assigned a 169 IP address. Okay? Antoinette, you are up next.
I love that. Talking about an APIPA address, and sure enough, I moved all the text and didn't move the star. So that's my fault.
No big deal. We just gonna pick up the fumble if we got to change. No big deal. All right, it's on you.
All right, so you want to play the new Warzone Warriors game on your PC? All the game sites are raving about how amazing the graphics are. Cool. Which of the following components is the most important to make sure that it functions properly? So take a look at these answers. One of them should be more obvious than the rest. How are we looking? All right, let's throw this star up and see how we're doing here. So we've got this brand new game. Everybody's talking about how good the graphics are, and if the graphics are great, that means you've got to have a good video card. That's going to be the most important. You don't want any lag in your gaming. You don't want it to freeze. You don't want to overwhelm your computer. So even though The other components that we have listed here are important. Obviously, your monitor is important, but no matter how nice your monitor is, if that video card is not stellar, you're not going to get the best graphics on the monitor itself. All right, let's head to the next one.
All right, the central processing unit controls the processing completed within a device. If the CPU has a large amount of processes to complete, it may start to get extremely hot. To avoid damage to the CPU and motherboard, a PC will blank when it overheats. So what is a fail-safe that is inside of a CPU that prevents it from overheating, or if it gets really hot? What's something that the CPU would probably do? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it should shut down, right? So whenever the PC overheats, if it's getting really hot, if you don't have a good cooling system, if the fans aren't working, the PC as a fail-safe will shut down the entire laptop, the entire PC, and even your cell phone if it's overheating too much, just so the CPU doesn't melt and so the device doesn't blow the hell up, right? So it will shut down, and to make sure things are cool. All right, Antoinette, next up is you.
All right, so Malika's got a presentation she's been preparing for, if I can speak. When the time comes for her to present, the screen isn't being projected and the projector is displaying a blue screen. So she checks the cables, she restarts the laptop, she even restarts the projector and still has the same issue. What are the next steps to get that presentation on the projector? Looks like she's tried almost everything. All right. So obviously, if both things are turning on, both things have power. It's not that they're unplugged, and it's not necessarily that they're not plugged into each other, but just like on your television, when you're running through the different sources, you've got to cycle through the projector source modes. So the projector doesn't necessarily know where to look right now to grab the screen and duplicate it or extend it, which is a whole nother thing we can talk about in a different question. But going through your laptop and going through the projector source modes, make sure that they're giving each other permission and telling each other where to look to actually grab that picture and put it up on the screen where you want it. All right, let's go next.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, Lena notices black particles all over the printer in her office. She believes the particles are residual toner. What would be the best way for her to clean the particles and get rid of all of the particles? Another thing, gang, sometimes don't overthink it. The easiest answer sometimes actually is the answer. So she got particles everywhere, right? She can either use rubbing alcohol, wet wipes, canned air, or none of that stuff. What would be the best way for her to clean all the particles and get rid of them? All right, so none of those, right? Why is that? Okay, rubbing alcohol, right? Rubbing alcohol is no bueno for cleaning that stuff. And if you did use it, it's just going to smear the particles everywhere. The wet wipe is going to do the exact same thing. It's just going to smear the black toner all over the printer and all over everywhere else, all over your hands, all over her hands. And canned air, if you do that, it's going to blow it everywhere. So it ain't going to be on the printer, but it's going to be all over you and all over everything else. So in this case, the best way to get rid of it would be none of those. All right. You can have a toner vacuum, and that's kind of a special vacuum that you can actually use to vacuum all those particles up. There's no static electricity, so it won't blow anything up. So if that was one of the answer would have been toner vacuum, but since that's not there, it's none of these. Antoinette, it's on you.
All right, so we're gonna describe a workstation and we're gonna figure out which one it is. So we've got a workstation that's configured for design engineering, design-driven jobs. We've got a really high CPU. We've got a GPU, the graphics processing unit, and RAM requirements, which means we are rock star in those three areas. We've got fast storage retrieval, which means data transfer rates are high, and SSDs are common. So what kind of workstation are we building to those specs right there? Think about it. All right, I gave you a clue definitely when I was going through the actual the pieces or the specs that we're building, and the correct answer is a graphics design workstation. So if you're looking at a highly intensive, well-built machine, and it's got a lot of RAM, which means it's processing fast, the CPU is solid, and you've got that graphics card in there, it's probably because we're working with either CAD or CAM, some 3D designs, we might be designing gaming systems. It's got everything to make sure that you've got a high performance, high visual workstation that's set up. And of course, SSDs are going to give you the fastest data rates of read and write speed. So we've got a really strong build right here. And this is going to be a graphics design workstation.
All right. All right, so next up, Lola finished her report and would like to print it out. She presses print and then goes to the printer to find no print jobs. She checks all cables, toner levels, and paper trays. What's the next thing she should do? That's another thing, gang. On the actual exam, a lot of the questions are scenario based. So maybe not what is this, what is that, but something broke, how do you fix it, steps to things. But a lot of the stuff is pretty much going to be in a story format or scenario format. So Lola did all that stuff and she still doesn't have anything printed out. Out of those options down there, what do you think the next thing she should do? So she went through all the cables, checked the toner levels and the paper trays. All that was cool. What's the next thing you think she should do? Hopefully you picked A. So she has to ensure the correct printer has been selected because it could have printer, paper, it could have toner, cables could be cool, everything can be all right. But if you're printing to the wrong printer, it's not going to come out of the printer you wanted it to. Antoinette, it's on you.
All right, so we've got to fill in the blank here, which is definitely common in the testing room. I've seen this way too many times. So pick which one is correct and then see which one matches this definition. So what is the process of adding geographical identification metadata to various media, such as pictures, video, websites, text messages, QR codes, RSS feeds, whatever it is? Which one of these is going to tag it with the geographical identification data? All right, while you're thinking about that, don't hesitate to put your answers in the chat. I see a couple of y'all are already doing that in there, but this is fun and this is how you're gonna get prepped for a successful day in the exam room. Let's see which one of these is the right answer. Man, it's looking good in the chat. Geotagging is correct. So if you're going to geotag something, this is how you get yourself in trouble, by the way. You take a picture somewhere, it's going to put the longitude and latitude of exactly where you took that picture, where you took that video, or wherever you created that piece of media, and it's attached to the background of that file in the properties. So you can see where you were and exactly when you took it down to the second. Let's go to the next one.
All right. Next up, Courtney is staying at the Snooty Fox Motel and needs to upload a video to her website. She doesn't want to use the public Wi-Fi provided by the motel. Of the following, what would make her internet connection most secure? All right, Muhammad. Muhammad says he got the test on Thursday. So good luck, Muhammad. Hopefully this helps you out a little bit, help you get over the hump. So, gang, what do we think? Jump in the chat and tell me, anybody, somebody, everybody, what do you think the answer to this question would be? So she's trying to make her internet connection as secure as possible. As we already know, it's not a good idea ever to use public Wi-Fi, especially not at the damn Snooty Fox Motel. So what do you think will make her connection most secure? Okay, people are saying B, and I would have to agree. Very good, great. So she would use her mobile phone as a mobile hotspot. Perfecto, good job. All right, Antoinette, it is on you.
All right, so Mikey's got 100 computers. He needs to put them all on his network. He has a pool of addresses that can be assigned to the devices, and he assigns the addresses to each device manually. I almost said the answer, so I had to slow down. All right, so what type of method is Mikey using to actually assign the addresses to the devices that he's getting on his network? All right, let's check this out. Mikey is assigning them. Where's my star? Boom. Static is correct. I see a couple of y'all throwing that in there. So static is the right answer. Mikey is assigning them statically, which means he is manually putting those IP addresses and assigning them into each device. All right. So let's head to the next one.
All right, gang. So that is
That's it. There are a couple questions. Rob, I'm going to throw something in here from the chat real quick. I see somebody from 2 questions back that said VPN would be a solid answer. Yep. And you are correct. So you want to talk about what a VPN is real quick?
Of course. So a VPN, real simple, pretty much secures something from the public to something private, right? So you don't want to go directly to, let's say, your corporate network. You don't want to go directly to your corporate network from your public network, because it's stuff that's proprietary, it's stuff that's private, it's stuff that you don't want everybody else seeing on the public network. So a VPN is kind of like a middleman, right? So the software encrypts all the traffic going from you, whether you're at your library, whether you're at your house, wherever you are, to that point. So long story short, a VPN just secures the traffic from you to the destination. So a VPN would be perfect, better than using Snooty Fox's Wi-Fi, because it's no bueno, it's no good, man. Another thing, gang, so this is gonna happen, right? This is gonna happen every week for the next 3 weeks, right? So we're gonna do this, me and Antoinette teamed up, and we're gonna do this every week. So we're gonna have about 10 or 15 questions every time. And next time we're starting right at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock and probably take about 30 to 45 minutes. Next week is going to be 1,002 test prep. This week was 1,001. So the goal for this isn't necessarily to, oh, we're about to give you the answer to the test so you can pass the test. The goal of this is for you to get more acclimated to the way the test is going to be. And another thing is just seeing that the test isn't structured in, okay, you're gonna get 5 questions about printers, 5 questions about networks, 5 questions about mobile devices. It's literally the way we had it. You might have a question about a printer, a question about mobile devices, a question about networking, but the main thing is getting your thought process down, right? You gotta have analytical and critical thinking, right? So when you're inside the box by yourself, there won't be me and Internet whispering in your ear and telling you, hey, it's C. Just make sure that you feel comfortable with troubleshooting, right? Because almost every damn domain that's on the A+ test is going to have troubleshooting in it. And the reason that is because when you get out into the field, when you actually get out into the war, right, that's a lot of stuff you're going to be doing. You'll be doing a lot of troubleshooting, fixing a lot of stuff is going to be broken, and that's pretty much what this does for you. So if you guys don't have any questions,
we have one.
Yes. Oh, okay. The floor is yours.
All right, so it looks like we've got a question. Can you give some info about D as in Delta as a service? And D here is going to stand as desktop. So desktop as a service is definitely something that is becoming more and more popular as we move over to a cloud-based enterprise system. So this is really a form of VDI, or virtual desktop infrastructure, that's provided by a third-party service. So think about BYOD, bring your own device, right? As you go get, as all of us go out, get new jobs, as we're interacting with our enterprise or our business environment, then not all companies are issuing brand new, really beautiful laptops anymore. They're saying, here's your login, and you're gonna have this secure desktop that you just you see an image of, or you see a mirror of from a server that's housed who knows where in the world. And they might be issuing thousands of those fake desktops. So you are able to just log into a system, go do all your work, and just like you're on a normal computer that's right in front of you, but it's in a window. So you can just close the window and you're done with it at the end of the day, or you're done with it at the end of a session. So desktop as a service is definitely more complex than I'm talking right now. There's more to it. There are different ways to implement it, but really what it is you're able to interact with a live computer that the hardware that's housing that is not necessarily right in front of you. You're doing it through a browser environment or some third-party application. So it was a great question. Definitely something that you're going to see both in the A+ realm as well as cloud and networking. So start familiarizing yourself with these concepts now so that as you start stacking certs and you start stacking paychecks, that your knowledge is growing as well. It looks like that was the only, or I should say the last question with the